Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
This is the Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
We are 92.1 City, Winnipeg's rock station. Philly Joe and Kirby on a Thursday. This week's cruising. Can I get a... I almost said, could I get a hell yeah?
I was ready.
Are you
hell
ready?
Yeah!
Mine was just going to be hell yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I was just looking at the day itself, and this is why. We've had unbelievable stuff going on here. Jets tickets again today. Colorado's here tonight.
That's why.
Western Finals coming up. You know, funny that those two things coming up on Saturday. You've got the Dallas Stars here at 2 p.m, then the Bomber game at 5:30. The tailgate party at the Bomber game is starting up at about 2 o'clock, so you can actually watch a Jets game there if you happen to be doing that. But I've talked to more non-sports fans that are super excited about this weekend because there's something going on that they're going to be a part of, even if they're not huge Jets or Bombers fans. It's two activities going on that's kind of taken the province by storm.
It's awesome. Do you have a... Now, we'll make our football picks tomorrow. Do you have a feel, Joe, like that...
I got a feeling.
On the West Final, or do you...
Well, you might as well. Kirby's got one. She just said, I got a feeling.
No, I'm just singing along.
Oh, just singing.
Yeah, just singing along.
Do you have a feel on the game yet? Have you put any thought into it?
Nope.
Not yet.
Nope. I have not. I had to get my NFL pick in for tonight. Baltimore, Cincinnati. I can't think of the Western Final yet. And listen.
You got to get your head around it before tomorrow. We're going to make picks.
No, I understand. Tomorrow I'll be ready. But I said this the other day. If the CFL has ever wanted the four best teams in football to be in their finals in the East and the West, this is happening. Mm-hmm. Like it's a coin flip. This Saskatchewan-Winnipeg game, I mean, if you're going to give a nod to somebody, you have to give it to Winnipeg for a home field advantage.
Yeah.
But the weather's changed a bit. It looks like
what do we got?
Sunshine and a high of 11 for the day, so that hasn't changed. But in the evening, they're saying 60% chance of showers. But that could come overnight. Because Sunday, there's a chance of showers now.
Okay. Sorry, Kirby. I just want to repeat a headline that I saw, and I'll give Dave Naylor from TSN credit for this. The CFL, this is the headline. The CFL's best fans are in Winnipeg, not Saskatchewan.
That's true.
And I'm like, yeah, can I get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah!
There you go. I'll tell you right now, it's got to be the truth. We've had the most people. I'll tell you, BC picked it up this year with their attendance.
Yeah, last couple of years with better teams and Rourke and everything.
And their new ownership. Mm-hmm. But Winnipeg, by far, over the last so many years, has been the best fan support with attendance numbers, for sure.
Best run organization, best game day experience.
Sure. You had the mac and cheese poutine sandwich they're offering up at the game, and you said it was probably the best one of the season, and they left it for the Western Final.
I think so. And the quote, and Kirby loved this quote, I said, sometimes I'll eat food, not that the Bombers bring in, but when you have a meal that's not traditionally breakfast food, like a burger or something, and it sits in your stomach, what did I say, like a wet Nerf football? No, like a wet sponge covered in gravy.
Yes, it was the sponge covered in gravy reference for me.
Kirby loved that. And I said that that mac and cheese pulled pork sandwich yesterday that the Bombers brought in.
Yep.
It was wonderful. I didn't feel any effects throughout the day. It was like, and I ate it quick. Like I eat a lot of food. It was delicious. It was so good.
It smelled really good.
It was good. Yeah, lots of cheese and
I'm glad it didn't weigh you down, Phil.
No, I was ready to. I was ready to go jogging right after.
Well, let's not get excited.
He did, but he was ready to.
I was ready.
Philly Joe Kirby.
Philly Joe and Kirby
podcast.
The Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
Pissed off? Well, then get the off Twitter and call the Bonephone.
Don't make me look up from my phone.
780-BONE.
Hey, this is a loud guy. I just want to say, I'm sitting at this light. I've watched it change 3 times. And the turning light, lucky to get 2 vehicles through it. Wonder why we have traffic jams. Like, I just don't understand how a light could be so short where barely 2 cars can make it. And then the lineup behind me just gets bigger and bigger. Help me.
That one drives me crazy. We all run into that through the course of any given day, any given week, where you're like, why was that light so short?
That's a good one. We don't get a lot of complaints about that, but boy, that one resonates.
I agree.
How do they alleviate that? Like, do they study intersections and then figure out like how to time the lights properly to push more traffic through?
They take a loud guy who has to call back now and tell us which light he was talking about. Then somebody from the city hears the Bonephone and puts it through.
Bang.
That's cut through the red tape.
The Bonephone, we know it takes care of things, but I would also assume that the city deals with complaints, a lot of them, on issues of that nature. And then if they get enough about one intersection, I would assume they look into it. That's how I would look at that.
Because that's how I feel about turning left, coming down Provencher, headed downtown onto Taché. There's like not enough vehicles that can get there during rush hour.
There you go, Kirby.
Well done.
Problem
You
alleviated.
don't even need to call 311.
You've got it covered right now.
Yep.
They'll extend the light. That's all they're going to do for you. I can't believe it's taken you this long. You've got patience. I mean, you've lived in... How many years have you been dealing with that light now?
Well, like 5 or 6.
And look what it took. Loud guy. To just poke the bear a little bit to get you to... come out of hibernation on that light.
I like that nickname, Loud Guy. Good stuff.
Good.
Okay, moving on. Frosty roads.
Appears to be a little bit of fog, some moisture, some frost on the windows. Let's guess what's going to happen to all the bridges and overpasses. Might get a little slick, just like last year. Here we are. East Perimeter, over the railroad tracks. 2 vehicles smashed up. 59 southbound over the floodway. Half a dozen cars smashed all over the place, completely shut down. Rosser overpass, same thing. Wonder why. Good job, Winnipeg. There goes our MPI rates. Carry on.
Okay, before we discuss that one, let me just play this call as well here.
Hey there, Philly Joe and Kirby. So I've been listening this morning to all these accidents happening, and I'm a person that drives on the highway every single day, and my question is this. How many of these cars have their winter tires on right now? I'd like to know that. I'd like to know how many of these vehicles that have been in these collisions have winter tires on right now. Because mine have been on since mid-October because, hello, we live in Manitoba. Come on, people. So I would just like to know because I'm wondering if that's part of the problem. Anyway, have a great day, everyone. Rock on 92.
Yeah, I mean, both interesting points. We know anytime you get a little bit of frost or some cooler weather, those overpasses get slick.
Well, especially between 0 and -7. Apparently, those are the key temperatures this time of year that create those icy conditions. And there was a real mess Kirby had in her news.
Yeah.
The one we talked about yesterday the most on Highway 59 there, even with a fatal accident there. 19 vehicles. Wow.
Oh, that's sad, too.
I learned a very valuable lesson about those bridges when I first moved to the city because I was involved in a 30-car pileup on the perimeter. Thankfully, everybody was okay in that situation. But, man, I was like... I guess, you really don't think if there's, like, no snow on the ground, you still got to worry about when things get cooler.
That's right. Yeah, drive to conditions. Yesterday's conversation really got going about gray sweats and Kirby finding on social media, or what would it be, TikTok, Kirby, that gray sweats for guys are a thing. And we had a really good chat about it.
Oh my God, guys! Gina from the Cape here. I just heard you guys talking. Well, Kirby, you talking about these dancing that's going on, all these reels that you watch on Facebook or wherever, Instagram, Snapchat. Anyways,
LinkedIn.
These guys dance around. I think that song is called "Blah Blah Blah" or something. Anyways, dancing around, gray sweatpants. I don't know. Things are flopping. I don't know. Half the time, I don't even remember my name. Good Lord. Anyways, you're talking about those sweatpants, and guys got, I don't know, stains on them. Good Lord, I don't even want to know. Anyways, guys, you guys had me crying today, laughing, driving into work. Anyways, have a fabulous day. Keep the sweatpants at home, guys, please. Or wear some tight undies, for God's sakes. Anyways, have a great day, folks. Gina from the Cape out.
Yeah, that's one thing. And you mentioned the stains, Kirby. Gray sweats are unforgiving. As far as if you slop a little coffee.
Yeah.
Well, then there's the different shades of gray, right? I mean, if you go darker, right?
Right.
I'm all about the
What
50
was there?
Shades.
50 Shades, yeah. Ended up 3 books in a movie.
But like my jeans, if I slop coffee, it's not ideal, but jeans hide little messes better than a pair of gray sweats.
Yeah. Don't wipe your hands on your gray sweatpants.
Yeah, there's
After eating wings.
well, right. A lot of wings is an extreme example, but on any given long day, I don't know that gray sweats are functional for me. I'm not sure about it. I did mention I might try a pair yesterday.
Right. You've decided not to now.
Well, I'm back. I'm on the fence. I don't
on
know
the
if
fence
amazing.
about wearing gray sweatpants.
Are you eliminating sweats completely
No.
or just the color gray?
Gray.
Okay.
The Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
That'd be pretty cool, man. 18 till you die. Wow. Bryan Adams, baby. It's the Bryan Adams Showcase. 92-1 City this week.
Yep. Very good.
Lots of memories with Mr. Adams. I've told you guys before, one of the best concerts I've ever seen. I swear.
I don't doubt it.
Birds Hill Park, Bryan Adams, a driving rainstorm.
Yes.
And Adams is like, they're telling me to get off the stage. No chance. I'm not getting off the stage. As the stage is like blowing down behind him, torrential rain and winds. Everybody's off. Like, I swear his band has run for cover. There's Adams hammering out songs in the crowd. If you're not leaving, we're not leaving, Adams.
He's always had a good work rate, as they say in the biz, right? Like, he puts on a show. When he's on stage, it's like full steam ahead. I remember one story from a while back when he was here, and there was a few musicians locally that went backstage. And Kenny Shields from Street Art, God rest his soul, was one of them. And Bryan stopped what he was doing and went over to talk to Kenny. He was a huge fan of Kenny Shields at the time in Street Art when he was growing up. And he sat down and talked music with Kenny for like
That's awesome.
a long period of time.
Yeah,
but
that is
he was just here a few years ago.
Yep.
Bryan Adams the last time out. So.
Great Canadian rocker. Legend. Bryan Adams. Boston Pizza text line got all lit up, as it tends to do, from the Bonephone and the Bonephone calls pertaining to a couple of things. Just traffic and the slippery roads, people taking too long at intersections to conduct their turns. Hot dog guy had this to say: most of the time it's the first person at the turning light taking a good 5 seconds to get going because they're on the effing phone. You can see, you know that when you're waiting, you get that arrow, and it's not a very long arrow, and there's 10 cars lined up. And if you finally get the arrow and that person at the front of the line, you're like, come on.
Where's the focus?
Yeah, that's right. And you can see their head down. And so you give that's the nudge horn, right? Let's, or depending how, what kind of mood you're in, it might be the long, drawn out, really pissed off.
Somebody on the Boston Pizza text line, too, was talking about how there's somebody at the command center that can extend the light, because you know how they have the cameras now set up on a lot of intersections?
Oh, yeah.
So they have the command center set up with the city. And these people can give or take. Yeah, you've heard about this.
Command center?
Remember,
I just
you
imagine
just forgot about
somebody
it.
like sitting up in like a eagle eye tower and being like, okay, what's traffic look like over at this intersection? Okay, we got to give it some more time.
That's what they do.
So that's how it is. They've got the entire city or certain
It'd
intersections.
be like if you looked in a casino, you know how they have the security
awesome.
cameras set up?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of busy intersections set up. The question is, how many people do they have working? Because you'll be at the light that doesn't change, right?
How do you get that job?
Yeah, that'd be
a
cool,
cool job.
It'd be like playing a video game all day. Really?
This is the Philly Joe and Kirby podcast. Philly Joe and Kirby's
Throwdown Thursday.
Sorry, we're closed. Well, then what are all these people doing here? Drinking and having a good time. Well, that's why we're here. You're too stupid to have a good time.
You're gonna lose in front of all your friends.
In front of? Oh, they're not here to just watch.
Oh, cool. Well, that's hardly fair.
Why, it's not fair.
Oh, I just slapped you. Are you all right?
What?
Okay, a proper Throwdown Thursday matchup today, and with Winnipeg Jets tickets attached to it, up for grabs. Dalton versus Dalton. We're talking Jake Gyllenhaal's Dalton versus Patrick Swayze's Dalton. from the Roadhouse movie.
I'll take it a step further. Doing a little research, I didn't even know this, but believe it or not, Roadhouse 2024 did better with Rotten Tomatoes than the original Roadhouse.
Ouch.
By about 20%.
Blasphemy.
Almost. But I will say this. You called it Dalton versus Dalton, but you're not wrong, Phil, because Patrick Swayze's character was named James Dalton, and Jake Gyllenhaal's character's name was Elwood Dalton.
So
a lot of similarities in the characters. Can I start by saying, I'm just going to go with the nostalgia pick. I'm going with the original Dalton, Patrick Swayze, and I'll tell you why. I didn't find him to be as dark of a character, and it was a little bit more realistic to me that this guy was just a bouncer, and he was part of that world, and he goes into a small town and stays a bouncer. The other one is a former UFC fighter who's got a dark past and ends up, on the street circuit. And then some random bar owner says, I got to hire this guy to take over. So I'm going to go with the original character, James Dalton.
I'm good.
I was a big Kelly Lynch fan, too. And he ended up with Kelly Lynch up in that barn.
The scene in that barn and
Ben Gazzar outside with his cigar.
Oh, my God.
What a great movie. And yes, I'm going with I Thought You'd Be Bigger, Patrick Swayze's Dalton.
Yep.
I mean, who is his best buddy?
Wade Garrett.
Sam Elliott. I mean, that was fantastic. And yeah, just a better character, bigger ass kicker, Patrick Swayze all day. Kirby?
I've only seen one of these movies. And
You haven't seen the original Roadhouse?
That's the one I've seen.
Oh, you haven't seen the newer one?
Yeah, you guys told me not to bother.
Oh, well, okay.
Because I did the original with Patrick Swayze
Yes, you did.
for a not so new movie review.
And I didn't like I didn't like the new one. So I probably came in one morning, you're right, and said, don't bother, Kirby. It's not that good.
Yeah, but
The
I
new
gotta
one.
say, this is gonna shock you guys. I'm gonna go with Jake Gyllenhaal.
It doesn't, newer look, handsome guy, Gyllenhaal, and he is a great actor.
Oh my God, he is one of my favorite actors, and not because he's like a handsome guy, but if you saw him in Southpaw, he had like that grit and that aggression, and like it's a little bit more believable for me than some dude who's like got hair that blows in the wind with some tight ass jeans.
That was the 80s, baby.
No shirt.
And
someone did reference his salad. Like he had the great hairspray, big hair, man.
Pleated pants.
Yeah.
That was the key back then, Kirby, for those karate kicks. And that he wore dress pants. Not only tight jeans. Yeah, not always.
There was some jeans and some more comfortable pants because you're right, Joe. If you're going to kick ass in a rugged bar with Jeff Healey on stage performing with a cage around him because people are throwing beer bottles at him, you got to have the odd pair of loose pants when you're kicking as much ass as Swayze.
And then you had Sam Elliott, his best buddy with the deep voice, right? The guy that went on to do Coors, the banquet beer, in those Ram commercials.
And he was tough, too. He showed
Big mustache.
He showed up to help Swayze in the town.
Yeah, ended up dead on the bar.
He did, the double deuce.
Spoiler alert.
Okay.
Not really. From the 80s.
For a chance to win Jets tickets for tonight's Avs-Jets game, a 4-pack. Let us know who would win, or let us know who you prefer. Thursday Throwdown, Dalton versus Dalton, Swayze versus Gyllenhaal.
Philly Joe Kirby.
Philly Joe and Kirby
Podcast.
The Philly Joe and Kirby Podcast.
I think we should continue that story on the air.
That's good.
Mike Rita, welcome back to 92.1 City. It's great to have you in this morning.
Man, I'm happy to be back with the legends in the studio, baby. Let's go, Winnipeg. Good morning.
Yeah. And you're at Rumors this week. I was just going through your Instagram, and you had a sold-out Tuesday show at Rumors. Like, you are a big fan of Rumors, and why not? Winnipeg comes out in droves.
I love Rumors. You guys don't know this maybe because you guys are locally too, so it's your club. But in our world of comedy, Rumors is the top club in Canada and like one of the best in North America. 300 people a night pretty much, you know what I mean? That place is rocking. And on a Tuesday night to have 300 of your fans show up because the word got out that, it's the cheaper night. Come on, we're going to pack the place. Let's go,
Hey, you're up against the movies, though, Mike.
I know, Tuesday or whatever it is. And they came out in droves. It's the things that you dream about as a comic when you're younger. Then when you're in it, you're like, oh, my God, I'm in it. I'm never not going to love Winnipeg with all my heart. This place is the best, man.
Mike and I were bonding last time he was here because he's Portuguese and I'm Italian, and I grew up in the West End of Winnipeg, and both were prominent right in the West End of this town. So we were talking a lot about the families having this. Like, listen, in our neighborhoods, there wasn't a cat that wasn't yelping in the neighborhood because somebody was barbecuing fish. That's just the way it was. But there's 3 times that my Portuguese friends who work in construction in this town have to shut her down early. There's the World Cup, the Euro, and when Mike Rita's in town at Rumors.
Shut her down early, boys. We got to get home and showered.
We got to get to the show.
It's the wives that are hot to trot. They're like, let's go. We got to get out there, boys. I'm telling you, I cannot shout out the ladies of Winnipeg. They were just so nice to me on Tuesday. A million photos. All of them thanking me for coming out. All the husbands standing 5 feet away watching them take photos. It was a good time.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, there were some interesting conversations in the vehicle driving home, hey?
You were really hugging that Mike Rita pretty tight there, weren't you? You're like, it was a good show.
He's a great comedian.
I've never seen you laugh that hard for me.
Yeah. That's good, man. That's good.
But it's been a lot of fun. When you represent the community, okay, so like
I'm hearing from Portuguese buddies right now.
Are they? Are they letting you hear it? Look at that. They're coming in. Hey, you on the radio, Mike Rita? You let them know.
Yeah, my buddy Ivo is listening right now.
Ivo, shout out Ivo.
Yeah, he says Rita's hilarious. I said, I know.
Oh, Ivo, you're the man, brother. Listening across Winnipeg, I'm going to tell you something. Because our communities are so underrepresented in comedy, Italians have been there around, especially in Canada. We got Frank Spadone, who is a hero to me, and because he was the only guy when I was a kid telling jokes of stuff that I experienced. One of the best jokes Frank Spadone used to talk about was going over to his grandma's house and everything being in plastic, and then I would think how many of my aunts and tias had plastic couches.
For
I was
sure.
like, and you weren't allowed to even look at the couch.
Never mind, sit on it.
Sit on it. You're not even allowed in the room, you stinky little. You know, and it was stuff like that. You're like, wow, cool, that happens. That's universal. Universal thinking is cool when you find the wavelength that everyone lives on, you know, and it's cool and it's enjoyable to share.
And it'll work in a place like a melting pot like Winnipeg, too, because if you come from an immigrant family, and so many of us do, there's so many similarities, and you bring that home. It's great.
I try to bring that working class immigrant thing to the stage a little bit, where you just give it your all. I'm up there for 50 minutes. My father used to work 10 hours a day from 4 to 4. I'm up there for 50 minutes. Some comics can't give it. You can't give it your all for 50 minutes. My father would kill me. He's like, you work for 50 minutes, you make a 3-day salary, and you over here complain, you know, like, it's
you remember
the dream.
day? You remember the day you went home and told them you were going to be a funny guy for a
Listen,
living?
This is for real. This is exactly how it went down. I'm 20 years old. My mother knows I'm doing stand-up because I'm going out every night.
Yeah,
after
moms
work.
always know.
They know because she's like, where you going every night? You dress so nice. You smell good.
Yeah.
You have a girlfriend? I'm like, Mom, I'm doing shows. And she thought I was like a dancer or something. Because she's like, you're going out at night? What are you? You're looking nice. Are you dancing? I'm like, I'm not dancing. And I had to explain to her how I was doing stand-up. And then when I told my father, this is exactly how it went down. I go, Daddy, I'm going to tell jokes. And he went, for who? Because there's no stand-up in Portuguese culture. He goes, who you tell jokes for? And I go, there's clubs. He goes, there's clubs for jokes? And I was like, yeah. And I had to take him at the time in Toronto. It was Yuck Yucks. And I brought him down there. And he was just mind blown that this even existed. That you could sit down and people were paying to laugh.
Wow.
And then somehow he was looking at the structure of the building and the
he's
cement
like,
up
they
front.
built this basement very good. This is a good basement. Wow, you don't want to
100%.
build basements like this?
But I bet he's proud now, though. I'm
going to tell you, man, it took a long time.
Aw.
He got really proud when, in Portugal, we have a national broadcaster, and one of their big interviewers was in Canada interviewing Canadian Portuguese citizens who had made it in different industries, and they chose me as the entertainment guy.
Yeah,
And then when he came over to my house, my dad was just starstruck, like, holy, Rodrigo Fernandez in my house? And he was like, yes, we're here to talk to your son. Your son's on. And my dad was just like, my son. This guy. Okay, whatever. I don't know. I don't like, but you like, whatever. It was that day because the phone calls that we got when the show went on live was just, it was like being in a movie where the second, good night, everybody, and thank you so much for watching. Boom. Ring, cell phones, my sister's phone, my cell phone. It was like cool. And then in my dad's head, he's like, holy Christ, is this real? Are you really going to do this? And now we're like, 7 years after that. touring the world, selling out shows in our islands in Portugal and the Azores. We sell out some shows out there.
Cool.
And that stuff is crazy because those people, they left there because it was hard, and now I'm going back because they love me. And in his head, he's like, this is just a wild ride. Yeah, it's cool.
What do you got going on these days since you seem to be very busy?
Lots of touring. I'm in Whitehorse.
Ooh,
next
I lived
week.
up there
Did you?
for a little while. Yeah, it's a fun place.
Yeah, so I'm out there. I'm at the boiler room, and I'm just trying to get to places that are different nowadays. I'm gonna strike the iron while it's hot as much as I can. I'm just not gonna sit back. I'm just gonna kind of ride as hard as I can, push as hard as I can. Leave nothing behind, empty the chamber, to say.
Am I the only one who looks at Mike Rita and says, like, I could see you in a sitcom about your life, like you just,
It could
I don't
happen.
know. You've got this something,
We're writing something right now called The Park, and it's about, because I grew up in the city, and we grew up in an immigrant community, low income, and not to be cliche, but really when you put all those things together, you just end up getting young kids who are self-sufficient in a way that isn't very positive.
Yeah.
And we all started selling dope by like 14. And I think about it, and I have a 7-year-old daughter. I'm like, Jesus Christ, 14?
Yeah.
You got to give kids shit to do.
Yeah.
And because we had no money, and we wanted money because we wanted to buy stuff. And the only way you're going to buy stuff is by like, okay, well, we're smoking weed. Other kids want to smoke weed. Let's sell some fucking weed.
Yeah.
And so it was a wild, wild ride. It was something that we're working on. There's so many crazy things that we went through as teenagers, and it'll be like almost like a dark comedy, man. But it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and we're working on it right now. It's called The Park.
Good luck with
man.
that.
Always good to see
Guys,
you.
wouldn't that be nice in a few years? I come back, you're like, we heard with national TV star.
You better still come in here.
Yeah, I'm gonna come in.
Okay, good. When you're a big star. Mike Rita, thanks so much, man.
You guys are great, man. Thanks so much for having me.
The Philly Joe and Kirby Podcast.
People bringing up the fact that as we talk Thursday Throwdown, that Patrick Swayze wore the gray sweats. And
Of course he did.
Going back to a conversation we had yesterday, apparently Swayze wore the gray sweats when he killed his neighbor. When he fought Jimmy, one of his arch rivals in the movie.
And that was a good fight. That was a good fight.
This. Oh, he was wearing them.
Philly?
Yeah.
The henchman's name?
Yeah.
Jimmy Reno.
So he wasn't Brad Wesley's kid.
No, he was his henchman.
See, I remember I said off air that Jimmy was Brad Wesley's kid in the original Roadhouse, but Joe's like, I don't think so.
No, I think
right.
he was just the bodyguard.
Okay.
Usually in those types of movies, the kid is never evil like the dad. The kid's usually bumbling, right? Like in the second one, in the second, right? 2024. Right. Jimmy Reno was pretty tough. Usually you don't get the tough kid if you get the evil father.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Can we just talk about these sweatpants for a second?
That he wore?
Yes.
He was ahead of his time. Those are like joggers.
Okay, but they have a very specific lace up crotch area. Like instead of a zipper, instead of them just being a pull-on, they're like a lace-up corset-looking thing in the front. Okay,
you put the cod piece in there, Kirby, the jock. Protect your nads.
Yeah, well, you would have to, because remember that scene where he's out in the field and he's practicing his
Tai Chi.
Yeah. In the barn too. He used to work out in the barn.
That's like football pants. Mm-hmm. You know where they have the drawstring, right?
I'm just saying, they're a scene, okay?
You're the one who told us gray sweats are like in big for guys yesterday. Now you got Swayze in gray sweats kicking ass and taking names, and it sounds like you're making fun of his gray sweats.
I'm just pointing out that they're a little bit different than the gray sweats that
with the single tie, waist tie. Well, not too many guys could take out Jimmy Reno just like that either. That was a hell of a fight.
And you know what?
And you're worried about the sweatpants.
It was a good fight. Didn't he rip his throat out?
Yeah.
That was his move.
Yeah. Yeah. Jimmy Reno, done. No trachea.
I wonder if it had anything to do with the fact that they were elastic around the ankles, nice and tight.
Well,
nothing's getting into those pants.
That was the old school gray.
Joe pointed that out.
Yeah.
When generally when ass kicking and fighting, and if you're martial arts, you don't want to be wearing the jeans are tough because you're just not as flexible with the jeans on.
Well, they didn't have that. They didn't have that elasticity in jeans back in the day like they do now. And I'm going to tell you something. Whoever did the wardrobe design for Roadhouse in 1989 deserved the Academy Award, because you can't go from jeans to sweatpants in a lot of fight scenes. I'm telling you right now. That's genius.
Wow.
So it's Dalton versus Dalton for Throwdown Thursday this morning. Jets tickets up for grabs. All you got to do is weigh in on the text line or the Facebook page. Jake Gyllenhaal's character versus Patrick Swayze's portrayal of Dalton. Adam on the Facebook page says definitely Swayze. He's kicking ass, taking names, smoking darts, breaking hearts, all while shooting whiskey.
This is the Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
When we have tech news on the show, it's not usually Aiello who brings it to the table, but this one sparked a little conversation. Not really debate, but just some interesting conversation off air.
Well, I guess one of the iPhone updates that's coming is the iOS 18.1, and apparently the ability to record phone calls is coming with the press of a button. So what happens is you'll end up with a transcript of the conversation you've had with somebody. So Apple's call recording feature is going to inform the person on the other end of the line that what they're saying is going to be recorded. That's just a legal thing. So it's not a surprise or hidden, like you're not phoning somebody trying to catch them in the act of something.
But if I answer the phone and the phone call starts with, "You are being recorded," I'm hanging up.
That's your way.
I'm not dealing with that.
It's not even for training purposes.
Training purposes is one thing, because that usually means you're on the phone with customer service.
But if Joe calls you, like, why are you hanging up if he's recording the call?
Why would Joe want to record our conversation? What am I about to appear before a deposition? Like, what is going on here? Is he investigating me?
100%. Like, it's pretty creepy and weird. But in this case, with that transcript, though, because off the air we were just kind of getting into it, but if you were talking to your doctor, which nowadays alleviates a lot of in-person appointments, and you're trying to, and it's a little overwhelming sometimes with the news you might be getting. Here it is on the transcript. That makes sense. I wonder how the doctor would feel, though. Hey, this call's being recorded. You know what I mean?
Do you mind if I record this? They might not love that idea.
Yeah.
But because you will get information, sometimes like booking appointments, and it would be nice every now and then to go back and have the transcript and say, oh, this is what he wanted me to do.
I'll tell you exactly who's going to love this idea. My wife.
I was just thinking, like, couples are going to love this. Like, I mean, obviously, like, both parties have to be on board with it, but it would be hilarious. You know, I can just see it already. Like, well, actually, on December 18th, you said this. I got the transcript of the call.
Oh, terrible.
She's spending $1,700 a month on extra iCloud data so that
keep all those
archives of all the calls.
Philly Joe Kirby.
Philly Joe and Kirby
Podcast.
The Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
So we've got a bunch of bigs who call and text the show. We've got the Big Slice. You got Big D. Some other bigs. Big N. Mm-hmm. But this is, I think, as far as I know,
Big Daddy Swain.
That's right. This is our first mega. And maybe this will start a run on, Mega Dean, Mega Wally. But this is Mega Dave.
Hey, PJK. This is Mega Dave calling. Just want to send a big shout-out to the douche nozzle in the red dump truck who barreled down on us on McPhillips today and blasted his air horn because we slowed down to let the bus that was taking over our lane go first so that we did not get killed by a bus. It's just wonderful to see that the Winnipeg drivers are so cognizant of what's going on around them. We had the choice of getting hit by a bus or getting blasted at by some dickhead. Well, we obviously opted for the dickhead. Keep up the good work, truck driving guy, and love you guys. Go Jets, go.
So, Mega Kirby?
No, I'm going to, let's stop trying to add things to Kirby, like it's never going to have to big, not mega, let's just Kirby. It's just good. We're good.
All right. So no big mega dog, big Kirby dog.
Unfortunately, Kirby, people don't usually give a nickname to themselves that stick. It usually comes from somebody else. And in most cases, they probably don't like it.
Yeah. And we've been through the big or mega in front of a woman's name. You don't see Mega Trish, Mega Sandy, or Big Sandy. Like
unless you're a professional wrestler. Like then you can get away with it. Like the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. Big Sandy? Yeah. There's a good chance you're big, and that's part of your gimmick, right?
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
But Kirby
is not a professional wrestler.
A professional wrestler.
Not yet. Not yet. Not in this lifetime.
Or not a circus strong woman, because you can get away with Big Sandy there.
Right?
Come and see the amazing Big Sandy.
For more Philly, Joe, and Kirby, log it into 92.1 City weekday mornings 6 to 10.